All right, another episode of The Unknown Pro. Today I have the bat flip queen, Sam Shao. What's up, Sam?
Nothing much. What's up with you?
Absolutely nothing. How are you at your parents' house right now during the quarantine?
Yes.
How's that going?
It's going. Looking for apartments.
Oh my gosh. Are you you're still in school, right? You were finishing your 5th year?
Yeah, I'm in my last semester, last couple weeks of
Wow.
school. I've moved out of Stillwater, so
Wow.
I'm moving on to the next chapter of my life.
Wow. Okay, well that's we have to transition. What does the next chapter of your life look like?
Depending on this summer, the plan is right now to move to the San Antonio, Seguin, New Braunfels area and work for Scott Smith, who I played my last select year 4 with the Bombers. He has a facility that I'd be able to use to give lessons, maybe help out some of his teams, and also continue to train myself. So
Right on.
that's the goal. That right now is the plan. I don't know. I need to talk with Scott a little more, but that's what I'm thinking.
That's great. Yeah, especially right now, planning is kind of up in the air because you can plan and it could totally not work out, or who knows, especially if it's in the future, it could end up
Right.
happening. So before we get started talking, I wanted to give the people that are watching a little bio about the Sam Shao. So you went to Texas A&M for 3 years, transferred to Oklahoma State for your senior year, played in the World Series. You were pitcher of the week a couple times in your career, 3-time all-region. You were an All-American in 2019 when then you played with Scrapyard after your All-American season, and then played in Italy. And just, wow, what a bio there. You got just keeps going and going. And obviously I had to put on here that you're the bat flip queen. That's
Yes.
part of your bio at this point,
Yes.
right?
Yes. It's it's connected with me no matter what happens. It's there.
Yeah, it's always going to be there. So I do want to talk about the bat flip, but that's not going to be the primary focus of our conversation today, because we played together, we talked about it.
Right.
But I do think that we could give the people what they want a little bit in the Sam bat flip conversation. So
Right.
we'll save that sweet part for the end.
Okay.
So what I really want to talk to you about is you were a transfer, and I think that right now we're seeing a lot of transfers. Not talking about 2020 because this year is going to be absolutely ridiculous, but the last couple of years we've seen a lot. And I just want to kind of pick your brain about the thought process with transferring. Did you think about it before your junior year came? Like what, take me through the process.
Yeah. So funny enough, my dad actually told me to transfer after my freshman year, and I was like, no.
Wow.
So my freshman year, they relied on me a lot because our other pitchers had injuries. So I was throwing 2 times in a weekend, which is a lot considering, the good teams have a staff and they can throw the staff.
Right.
So I was throwing a lot my freshman year. I was getting some at bats. And then my sophomore year, we picked up a JUCO transfer. So that took less time from me, which I was okay with. And then not hitting as much as I'd like to. And then my junior year, there were weekends where I didn't even pitch in a weekend. I wasn't getting at bats. I was like getting pinch hits. And if you look at, so we played Florida in supers my junior year. I didn't start a game. I was always coming in. I didn't pitch in supers. So it was like, it was just adding up to that point.
Mm-hmm.
And so after we lost to Florida, I looked at my dad and I was like, okay, like this, I don't love it anymore. I'm not happy. Softball, I'm not happy. In life in general, I'm not happy. I gotta do something to change it. Because for me, my senior year needed to be my best year. I needed to love softball again. I needed to have fun, and I needed to be in an environment where I was truly myself. And so it wasn't an easy decision. I definitely went into the coaches because we had an end of the year meeting. So I went in there and I explained to them what I was feeling and why I was feeling. And for some reason, I don't think they understood what I was trying to say. So I took another week to think about, talk to my family. really try to grasp if those are the right decision, because as a senior, it was scary because what if teams didn't have money for me? Obviously I needed a degree, but also I wanted to make sure that I was getting the proper money, because I didn't have money. My parents didn't save money for me to go to college. Anyway, so I went back a week later and I explained to them that it wouldn't be fair to myself or this team if I were to come back and play, and I would like to transfer. And so they have at the time, this was before transfer portal.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to wait to get my release, and then she decided to block some schools that I couldn't transfer to.
Okay.
Which I was like, can she do that? I mean, because Keely Milligan transferred before me and she didn't get any restrictions. So, and it was all teams that A&M had played in regionals the past year. So she didn't want to face me if that chance were to come. But I talked to her because there were a few schools on there that I wanted to look at. Texas State, ULL, Baylor was I didn't want to look at Baylor, but I know a lot of the Texas schools.
Yeah.
Because that's typically regionals. That's who we played.
Right.
So once I got my papers and I got released, Oklahoma State was actually the first school to reach out to me. And then I went to ULL in Washington to, just look. And honestly, before college, I had went to one visit, and that was the Texas A&M she offered, and I accepted. So I didn't have a recruiting process.
Yeah.
So that was kind of cool for me to have, especially being older and understanding kind of what was expected and what was going to happen. But I'm very grateful that I landed at OSU and that they had the space and the money to take me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. So that's actually funny because I went and visited one school, they offered, I committed, done, right? So I never have any advice. People are like, what should we do when we're doing the whole recruiting process? I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah. I tell them to take their time.
Yeah. So do you think had you gone through more of a process that you wouldn't have gone to A&M as a freshman?
Maybe, because so I grew up in Houston and I played softball in Houston, and Texas A&M recruits a lot of Texas people. Mm-hmm. And so I had so many girls from my area going there, and not saying that's why I made my decision, but it just seemed like the cool thing to do. I was 14 years old when I made the decision.
Wow.
Yeah. And that's not even some of the youngest.
I know.
I was at least a freshman in high school. I had kind of, but my teammates, I was playing select ball with girls that were already committed, and I was like, oh, okay. But there was a time my junior year in high school where I thought maybe to decommit just to explore my options, but I chickened out. But not saying, like, I'm very grateful for my time at A&M. It taught me a lot. It's a part of my story, and so I'm not upset that I went there. But who knows if I would have taken other visits where I would have ended up.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, you can't answer, you don't know, like, you can't answer the question because you are where you are because you had that experience.
Right.
And obviously you made the right choice. How was it then going to a brand new school as a senior, but kind of as a freshman,
Yeah. The team was actually very welcoming, and with my experiences with teams, I've always had a harder time of fitting in because I was just I want to win, I want to play, I don't care, like I want to do anything to win, even from a really young age. And so I've always just had a harder time of making those relationships with my teammates. And Coach G and the staff there, they're like, you're good at softball. Like, there's no doubt about it. We can only help you get better as a person and help you build relationships with your teammates. Jeff, who was my pitching coach, who's not the pitching coach anymore, but he was the pitching and hitting coach for OSU my senior year. He goes, I was throwing a bullpen, and it was a Friday, and he goes, Shao, what are you doing this weekend? And I was like, nothing. Because at that time, I was far from home. My boyfriend at the time was back in Texas. Like, I didn't have anyone to hang out with. I was like, I'm not doing anything. And he said, you're not hanging out with any of your teammates. I was like, no. And he goes, you better hang out with someone this weekend. And at the end of this year, I want one or two of these girls to be in your wedding. And I was like,
Wow.
okay, whatever. So I sent a text in our group me, and I was like, hey, if y'all do anything, can y'all invite me? Because Jeff is going to yell at me if I don't do anything with y'all,
You
right?
asked my bridesmaid.
Right? The wedding that, anyways. Yeah. So that's what kind of kicked off the relationships that I built with my teammates and also my coaches. That was another thing. I hadn't had great open relationships with my coaches. Coach G, his kids were at the field basically every day. Jeff has a daughter who's currently a freshman at Florida. So like, it was just like a family atmosphere. You had to walk in through the front door to pass the coaches and you had to say hi. Coach G always knew when something was wrong with me, and he'd be like, Chow, sit down. Like, we need to talk. And I'm like, oh, talking.
No.
But like, yeah, the softball aspect was great, but I grew more as a person with the especially so the summer after when I played with Scrapyard, like I wouldn't have been able to handle that as well as I did if it wasn't for my team at OSU for like opening me up and allowing me to trust people a little bit better. It's just helped me so far in life.
That's great. I mean, it's funny because a lot of people say, you know, softball is what you do. It's not who you are, and all that kind of stuff, which that's a conversation for another day. But for you, kind of opening up, you were able to pass maybe some limits or some ceilings that you might have had for yourself that you didn't even realize.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then look at the year that you had.
Right. And that was one thing. Coach G was like, you're a hard kid to coach. And I was like, what? He goes, it's not a bad thing. You ask questions, you want to learn. And so it's hard for a coach to coach you. And some coaches don't know how to handle that. And so I had a coaching staff that understood me, and they weren't going to change my emotions and my attitude in a good way. They helped with the attitude part, like otherwise, but like they didn't want to change who I was.
Right.
They just wanted to make me be a better me. And so not saying that I haven't had good coaches in the past that knew how to coach me, but when you're playing college softball, it's a job and you're there at the field majority of your time. So when you're surrounded by people who maybe don't understand you, it's a really hard thing to get through and be happy and love softball.
Yeah, that's true. That's really true. And do you feel like when you were having this season and you were just jumping out and having such success as a senior, what was the feeling that you were having? Did you feel like this is how I've always been able to perform? This has always been in me? Or did you feel like, wow, I'm so much better because I'm at OSU? What were some of the thoughts that were going through your head?
I knew that was in me. When I went in, I told them I need to play like I'm 8 years old at recess and just like having fun and not caring. And so that was actually a thing that he told the team, like, we need to play like we're at recess, just no rules, just out there with your friends, having fun. And I don't think I had that mindset my first 3 years, just because our freshman class at A&M, all four of us started. And so we were held to a standard, and not saying the fun kind of got taken out of it a little bit. Because going into the SEC, you know, it was big time. And we were really close class. We were all friends with each other. And that was another hard decision to leave those girls because I mean, they were friends, and we were all so close. But we went in and just had fun. And I had a Zoom meeting with Scott Smith, and he was like, your senior year, that's the kid that I coached. And I hadn't seen that in the previous 3 years. And so it was always in me. I just needed to get it back out. And I've said before, my 3 years at A&M, I had colorful hair. And that was like like that was me trying to express myself in other ways than like my performance. And so then my senior year, I didn't have to have the crazy hair because I was doing that with my emotions and how I was playing and just hyping everyone up. So it was a cool process to see.
That's so interesting. I wouldn't have even put two together about that. That's awesome. I mean, it's true though.
Yeah.
Talking about, you hear a lot of kids and you see a lot of players who talk about losing their love for the game because of a coach, because of a team, because of this or that. Looking back on it now, do you think that you could have done something different to help yourself not lose that love?
Put more effort in trying to communicate with my coach maybe, but at the same time, the reason why I did it is because I knew I wasn't going to get anything back.
Mm-hmm.
It was such a hard dynamic just because she wanted a cookie cutter player.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, I wasn't in that cookie cutter. And so I played because she needed me to play, not because she wanted me to play. And so that's a hard feeling to have and understand and try to express to a coach. Because for me, I have the utmost respect for any coach that I have just because that's how I was brought up. I'm not going to disrespect on purpose. I may do it on accident. I'm not going to, I didn't know how to get my point across with being respectful. And so I didn't communicate as well. And if I had to go back and play those 3 years again, I would have tried to communicate better.
Yeah.
Just so she understood what was going on with me.
Yeah. Yeah. That could, who knows, that could have changed everything. But right now you look at your story and you think, maybe I wouldn't change a thing. Cause look where you are. Look at everything that has happened because of everything that has happened.
Right. Yeah.
So, I want to talk about, like, we've already kind of touched on it, but the role changes that you've had to go through. You already said about how from freshman to sophomore to junior year, your role changed. And that was, maybe something you hadn't anticipated, something that you feel like, maybe you should have been playing more. Why am I not playing more? And then getting to OSU where you were, this might sound bad, but the team, without you, they would have had a completely different season. Right. So talk about going from being, obviously you said you played a lot your freshman year, but junior year, it was when you were kind of just not relied on, not playing a lot. Going from that to then being in the position you were on Oklahoma State, what did you go through in those role changes?
So I consider myself a leader, whether that be on the softball field or in life. I just kind of take on that role. I like that role. Mm-hmm. And so I was trying to lead those first 3 years, and it wasn't getting taken well. I'm studying leadership, so I have learned through the years what it takes to communicate with other people well. And so obviously my freshman year, I didn't really say much. I was leading more with my actions and my performance on the field. But then the following years, my sophomore and junior year, it wasn't getting taken the right way. And it's partially my fault because I have a hard time with my tone and my words aren't always right. And so that's something that I've had to learn, and I'm still learning to this day. But my junior year, I just felt so defeated that I just stopped. Mm-hmm. And so I was playing my junior year. It just wasn't as much as I thought I deserved. Like, I thought I could play. And this is going to sound, a lot of people are going to take this as cocky, but I think that I'm really good. And so I think that I deserve to play. And that's where my confidence kicks in and allows me to perform. But I wasn't getting starts. I wasn't playing weekends. And I was really defeated. And it's hard pinch hitting to go into a game and try to perform because you're like, okay, well, if this is my one opportunity, I need to do something with it. And it just wasn't a good mental state. I was not having fun. So then I get to OSU and they straight up told me, we need a leader. We need you to go out. And if you have to throw every game, you need to go do that. And you need to hit and you need to perform in the box and in the circle. But we're not going to pressure you. We just know you can do this. And I was like, give me everything you have. I got it.
Yeah.
that's how it was in select ball. I was relied on a lot, and I think that's what I liked and that's what I needed. And maybe I wouldn't say that I would get the same thing at A&M if the opportunity was handed, because you obviously need a staff and you need, you need a team.
Right.
But having someone to take that load, I want it every time. And so what the coaches helped me at OSU, and it was even the strength coach, he was like, if you're going to be a leader, you can't have bad days. Your teammates can't know when your boyfriend, and you are having a bad day at practice.
Yeah.
You have to go out and you have to put on the leadership, and you just have to go out and practice. And that was one thing that I had never heard. Obviously, performance-wise, you never want to have a bad day, but your emotions and your actions, that was the biggest role. One, getting the leadership role that I've always felt like I wanted, and then having people to help me build into the leader that I was my senior year. And it wasn't a lot of words. It was more my team, the team behind me. I've never played on a team like that before. Everybody wanted everyone to do good. I mean,
awesome.
It was amazing. So it wasn't a lot from me. They just needed, my performance, which was really cool.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And it was apparent. They, you didn't doubt for 1 second that whole team was behind you, and I'm sure for you tell me if I'm wrong, but getting that role, being in that role, and, being able to do what you need to do probably helped you to keep doing what you needed to do and to do it really well, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I've always taken losing so hard. Like, mad the rest of the night. Don't talk to me. But for whatever reason, my senior year, like if we lost a game, you're mad for 30 minutes. But then after that, it's like, okay, we have another game tomorrow, or, we have a game Wednesday. So there was something that changed in me that I don't know if it was maturity or just the people that I was around, but something changed in that aspect of me. And I think that's what allowed me to my leadership was really consistent. And I think sometimes in the past, maybe my leadership wasn't as consistent because I would get so down on myself. If that makes sense?
Yeah, of course. Of course, because then it shows, like if you're looking to someone for guidance or like to lead me, and you see them, down, shoulders slumped and totally defeated, then it gives you permission almost to then shoulders slump, feel defeated in a way, which I think a lot of people don't want to be in that leadership position because of that responsibility. And that could be a little bit of added pressure on top of already wanting to perform on the field.
Right. Yeah.
So I think that's cool, because you see people, you put them in a pressure situation and they thrive, or they don't. Right. So you waited like you said, you waited your whole life and you got this position. Fortunately for 1 season, unfortunately just for 1 season, right?
Right. Yeah.
But then you got the opportunity to go and play pro. And how was that transition for you?
Yeah, it was different because I was more, I had to take a role of really sitting the bench. And when I say that my playing time went down at A&M, I was still getting innings. It wasn't like I wasn't a starter, because I was, but it wasn't the same. I got to professional, and everyone there, like, I knew who everyone was beforehand. It wasn't like you come into, a team and you're like, who's she? No, you knew everyone. And it was a huge pitching staff, and you had really great hitters. And I was just like, okay, what am I going to have to do to play? Yeah. So I'm in the outfield. I don't have any experience. I played outfield at OSU for the first time. The first tournament of the year, he was like, Shao, you got to play outfield. I was like, I don't know what to do out there. He goes, just go out there and catch the ball. And I was like, okay. And so when they asked me, and I was like, well, I kind of play a little, very, very couple little innings of outfield. I can play first. I can pitch. I was willing to do whatever it took to play, but also to win. And I think another thing that I had to take into consideration, we played USA a lot, and everyone besides the rookies, well, maybe even Kylan because she played with USA, but everyone knew each other and they knew how to get each other out. And I was just like trying to learn that. And I had fun, which was the weirdest thing because I always had, if I was playing, I was having fun. And my senior year, it was never like I wasn't playing, so I never had to learn that. But then I got to Scrapyard, and I was like, I'm still having fun. It sucks that I'm not playing, but I'm around a really good group of people and very knowledgeable people. I think I learned more from my teammates. Nothing against the coaches, but I learned more from y'all just because of the experience and the knowledge that everyone had. But I really had to buckle down and be like, whatever they need, I will do. I've even thought about trying to take balls at like third base again or something, just so I can have more in my back pocket.
Put me anywhere.
I don't want to catch. Please don't make me catch. I don't want to play second base either.
Oh, that's, you know what, that's super cool. What you said about just kind of learning how to have fun with the game, even if you're not in the game. And I think that is, it probably grew your love, you love the sport. So being able to have fun with it, whether you're on the field or on the bench or in a different kind of role, that I feel can elongate your career too,
Oh yeah.
You could have said, you know what, this sucks. I don't want to be a bench warmer, so I'd rather just not play. That absolutely could have happened,
Yeah.
But you're still here. You're signed with, to play with Athletes Unlimited. You went to Italy after Scrapyard, which was a big deal for you.
Yeah.
Why was it a big deal?
One, my attitude sucked. So I was at the point where I was like, okay, I need a break from softball.
Yeah.
And then you put me in a whole different country where I don't know the language. I didn't attempt to learn. It was all on me. Like I could have made the most out of the situation, but I didn't. Mm-hmm. I had to ride a bike to practice and back. It was such a weird like culture shock to me.
Yeah.
Because I had committed to play in Italy before I knew Scrapyard was even an option.
Wow.
So if I would have known that Scrapyard was an option, I probably would not have gone to Italy. But I literally got a text from Scrapyard as soon as we lost out of the World Series. Like, hey, you want to play? Like, yes, thank you. But anyway, so I went over there, and we only have two Americans. It was myself, AJ Andrews, but then we had Amanda Fama, which she was considered a talent, but that was our house as well. Mm-hmm. We all shared one room, so it was 3 twin beds in one room. It was just like, it was overwhelming. And then my attitude was poop. And then I started school while I was over there. So I did half of my fall semester in Italy.
Rough.
So, and the softball over there isn't as good. So it was really hard to still be competitive and like want to play when it wasn't as difficult from one Scrapyard or even college.
Right.
And the weird rules where the native pitcher or the Italian pitcher had to pitch the first game and then the foreign could pitch a second game. Sometimes I would just pitch one game in a weekend and that's all I had to do and hit. Yeah. But it was a good experience. I'm glad I did it. I'm glad I did it when I did. I mean, I was young. I'm still young, but, I continued to play. And now that I've had a break, I definitely want to play again. But I'm very grateful for that time in Italy. It taught me a lot.
2019 was a big year for you. Oh, my God, right?
It sure was.
Yeah, jeez. You went, I mean, so much, it was all mental. Everything you went through in 2019 was mental, 100%. Yeah. Like, you didn't change anything really about who you were as a softball player. It was attitude, learning how to lead better than you had been leading before, and then coming across a potential nemesis when you join Scrapyard. It's me.
Yeah.
It's so funny because the more we're talking right now, the more I see such similarities in the things that we agree. Like, I've always felt like I need to be myself in order to perform. You know, LMU was a place where I could be myself and perform. That's what you found in OSU. You know, having fun, playing like you're a little kid. All these things that are huge to a person, to a player, we have in common. And learning that over the summer and more, you know, as we become friends, has been mind-blowing because I am so anti bat flip. It's unbelievable, right? So
Yeah.
do you want to share your thoughts about when you saw my tweets on the Twitter about the bat flip? Because I remember
Yeah. So I have had Connie May. I've played against her teams in select ball, so I had a previous relationship with her. So I kind of reached out and I was like, hey, I don't know. I'm interested in playing Scrapyard. I don't know if y'all would want me, but I'm just putting my offer out there. And she said, you know, there's interest. And so I was like, okay, cool. And then the whole bat flip thing happened, and I saw Sam's tweet, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm not gonna play professional softball.
Sam Fisher.
My teammates are gonna hate me.
Sam Fisher is gonna ruin my professional career.
I literally went into Coach D's office and I showed him the tweet. I was like, should I be worried? He was like, no. I was like, okay, thanks.
Okay, cool. I feel much better now. Thanks. I love that when you told me that, because I mean, I didn't, number one, you had so many followers and so many people tweeting you that I didn't even think that you would see the stuff that I was saying. And to be fair, I mean, it would take a lot for me to go back and find the tweets, but they were all about the bat flip. You know, they were like, Sam Shaw's a piece of crap. But you know, that's just where and it you know, it started such a conversation because I'm sure you got like actual hate. I can't even imagine what you probably got, because I then got hate on Twitter because I'd say, you know, like bat flips aren't cool. And people would be like, you don't know how to have fun. Like,
right.
I actually think I'm very fun. So, oh my gosh. I just, you know, that when I saw that we signed you, number one, what an awesome sign, right? Like a pitcher hitter, a pitcher power hitter, you know, that's great. You know, I watched you play. I knew what you could do. And as somebody who wants to win, that was a great pickup for us, you know. Then I get to Scrapyard and I see the lockers next to each other. I thought maybe we're pushing it a little bit, you guys, because how am I going to have anything in common with the bat flipper? This can't work. So what was that like for you coming in and being literally neighbors with me?
Yeah. I walked in and I was like, crap. Because so the whole building relationships thing, I was like, okay, how do I do this? How do I even start a conversation? So initially I was like, okay, she doesn't like the bat flip, so she doesn't like me. That was my initial thought. Very, you know, human-like. Yeah. But I was just like, okay, I'm just going to be respectful and I'm going to be myself. I'm gonna, for the most part, kind of stay quiet for the first day, just kind of get a good feel. Yeah. But it was very funny, the fact that they put us next to each other. Yeah. Because I had you and Foley next to me. So yeah. I wasn't even by like my other rookies. I was just thrown into all the returners, and I was just like, okay, I'm not gonna say anything yet. I'm just gonna be quiet and my head down and do what I need to do.
That's so just, it was so perfect because it was something for you to see. You know, you had just worked on building relationships and just, you know, seeing how important that ended up being for you in your senior year and wanting to take it into your pro career. but then being thrown a curveball immediately because you didn't know me, I didn't know you. We just knew you bat flip, I don't. That's all we knew, right?
Right, exactly.
And on my end, I'm the oldest on the team. I have to learn how to think. People are going to do things that you don't like all the time, right? How do I take that and still get to know you as a person, So I think it was a really cool challenge for the both of us, and there were no issues. I mean, day one, I'm like, hey, do you want to throw with me? do you like McDonald's? So we freaking are on polar opposite ends of this big topic in sports, baseball and softball, right?
Right. Yeah.
But we like that as people, we got along great,
Right. Yeah.
We had so much fun together. We're obviously still friends and talk to each other. We're gonna play together again in the fall. So I think for me, it was such a great experience to know that one person can think and do this and one person can think and do this, and it doesn't matter as far as people go,
Right. Yeah.
Just, I don't know, just like anything else, that's God. This is obviously off softball track, but when people talk politics and they think this and they think people stop being friends over stuff like that. And that really could have prevented us from even trying to be friends. And we found, I don't think there was anybody, at least for me, that I was more alike to on the team.
Right. Yeah. Yep.
We ate so much McDonald's. Oh my God. So,
and I think it surprised the coaches too.
150%. They're probably like, we didn't think that this was going to go as good as it's going. We thought it was a joke to put next to each other in the locker room.
Yeah.
We are throwing partners, and in the softball world, that's a big deal with who you play catch with.
Absolutely.
You're not just playing catch with any old chum out there. But I wanted to briefly touch on the bat flick because, at the end of the day, we both have talked to each other about our opinions about it, and we both still stand strong with what we do. You're gonna bat flip when you hit a home run, and I'm gonna cheer for you. You just if you bat flip, you just scored us runs. So I should be I should be wanting you to bat flip at this point because that's good stuff.
Which I never did.
You did not.
There's thought behind it.
Is there?
Yeah, I mean, at least in the college games, it was always it either tied or put us up, so it was more emotion. And with Scrapyard, I was just trying to get hits. I wasn't trying to do anything too crazy, especially when you're facing the best of the best. Just trying to put the ball in play. And if the ball went over, I probably would have cartwheeled more than bat flipped. So just would have stood in the box.
That's awesome. That's so that's so cool. Because you know what, you can and you will, if you want, have a career with you will continue playing as much as you want, and be given opportunities. And who knows, now you have a year of pro under your belt, you're going to go into your second year, you could then start building a different kind of confidence, and maybe we'll see it again. Maybe because, we did go back to back in Canada. We hit back to back home runs.
Did.
So if that happens again, then that would be pretty cool to see.
It would.
Well, Sam Shao, this was such a great conversation. I love how similar we are in things that we think are funny, number one. But Justin, I love hearing that you wanting to play like an 8-year-old at recess. I just think that that's so cool. And I'm so glad that you found it again, anyway, moving on. But thanks for talking to me, and I'm so glad that we got to do this, and hopefully we get to see each other in 2020 because that means that we get to play softball.
Right, exactly.
But all right, man.
Cool.
See you on the flip side. Catch you on the flip side.
Catch you on the flip side.